First of all, what's your reaction to the size and scope of the president's package, specifically the $447 billion price tag?
First of all, I heard a lot of things in the president's speech tonight that I think both sides can agree on and get to work on as soon as possible. We know, as the president said, people are really hurting out there. It's time for Washington to come together and produce results. One thing I would say, though, is it seemed that the president was delivering the message that Congress should take up and pass his jobs bill all or nothing, and if that didn't happen, he would seek to hold us accountable. I don't think that's the right approach. I think what we should do is go for the things in the package that we both can agree on. And I did hear some things like small business tax relief, like reducing red tape, like working to try and streamline the infrastructure spending in this country, like looking to reform the unemployment benefits program in this country to get people back to work. These are the kinds of things I think could produce results, could help clean up the system, and we could do these right away. So I'm looking towards hoping to peel some of these out of the package, to put them on the floor, to see what we can get done as soon as possible to produce results for the people who so desperately need to see Washington get back to work.
Mr. Leader, let me ask you about a couple of specifics in the plan. First of all, the president's got $250 billion or so of tax cuts in the plan. One, the largest single element is expanding the employee side payroll tax cut to 3%, and then having small business payroll tax relief and new hiring payroll tax relief. How much of that $250 billion in those pieces do you think that Republicans in the House can support?
Well, first of all, John, we put forward our own job creators plan that has in it a small business tax relief measure. So I think both of us now have come to the table and said we want to provide relief for the real job engines of this country, small businesses. So again, these are the type of things that we can work on, the type of things that we can come together on fairly quickly and get the job done. You know, there's a lot in the president's proposal that he said are paid for, but then what he said was he'll rely on Congress to come up for the pay-fors or otherwise send up his suggestions. So we'd have to wait for that to see. But again, there are plenty of things that we can work towards right now to produce results, to provide the relief, and hopefully see the jobs created for the people who are out of work.
And what about the payroll tax relief for individuals, which would $170 or so billion, and the president framed that as a challenge to Republicans? You guys say you don't want to raise taxes on anybody. How can you raise taxes on those workers? What is your view of the viability of that proposal?
Well, I mean, the president's right. Republicans don't believe in increasing taxes. We know now people are very, very fearful right now because they don't have enough money. The provision that he's talking about was part of the agreement that we struck with him last December after the elections in November. It was something that he insisted be included in the package and something that we Republicans supported. So it's certainly part of the discussions. And I would say, again, Republicans don't support increasing taxes for anyone.
Well, so it sounds like you're open to bargaining at least on a piece of that. Let me ask you about the nearly $200 billion of direct spending in the plan. You've got more than $50 billion for infrastructure. You've got about $30 billion for school renovations, $35 billion for teachers and first responders. Will House Republicans go along with any of that or a significant amount of that direct spending for those purposes?
Well, first of all, you know, I want to take a look at the details, but a lot of what the president talked about on the spending side, I think we need to be substantiated that it's different and apart from the kinds of things that were in the stimulus bill that we believe failed so miserably. But what I would say is we agreed that we ought to be looking at infrastructure spending. Our ideas on the table have to do with trying to fix the current system to free up states, give them more flexibility with the monies that they do have. We also know there's a significant portion of the stimulus package that has not been spent yet. And again, if the monies that we put forward, the Congress put forward in the stimulus package have not been spent, something's wrong with the system. So our ideas are to try and streamline the system in the permitting process, to try and give some relief to the states, to give them flexibility to fulfill their mission and their needs. And I think that there's a lot of area for progress there before we go start spending hundreds of billions of dollars or more money. We've got to be smart about it.
Congressman, let me ask you this. The president said that this jobs plan is paid for. Do you believe this plan is paid for?
Maria, I think the devil's in the details, and he didn't provide any of the pay for us tonight. He did call on Congress, whether it would be through the Joint Select Committee or otherwise, to come up with additional pay for this additional spending. Again, this brings us full circle back to where we are. We need to grow this economy. Really, how we're going to manage down the debt and deficit is to grow through new revenues, through job growth. That's the purpose, I think, that all of us are trying to shoot for here. Come together on the areas we can agree to and make sure that we are not taxing people right now while we're expecting them to grow and hire more workers.
Mr. Leader, before I let you go, let me ask you what about the president's tone. He pointed his finger a fair amount. He said, pass this plan over and over. He, in effect, warned the Congress that I'm going to go to every corner of the country and take this message. What's your reaction to the way that he talked to the Congress tonight?
Well, I know he's coming to my hometown of Richmond tomorrow. I will be there speaking on jobs as well. So I'm sure he'll be true to his word that he's going to take his plan to people across the country. One thing I can say, John, is I did not think that the approach of take it or leave it, my way or the highway, is the appropriate approach at this point. I think there's plenty in here we can agree on, and we shouldn't let the areas of differences get in the way of the things that we can agree on and accomplish right away.
Mr. Leader, thanks so much for being with us. Good luck in your discussions with the White House on this plan.
Thank you.
Maria?